The title of this presentation, I was really stunned. Sorry. Nutrition Challenges Middle East. Every word of this deserves a book, not just a presentation. If we just omit the Middle East, nutrition challenges, there's a lot of talking about nutrition. I have a lot of problems in our practice. In my clinic, we don't talk about nutrition. I'm raised up and educated to be a doctor, to work with medicine, to work with drugs. I've never been raised or educated to work with food. Food is not my part, but still, it is one of the important parts that we as a pediatrician must know about. The other word, the Middle East. Come on, Middle East. Thousands of books have been written to understand the Middle East. Thousands of authors tried to get the culture of the Middle East. Nobody knew about it. Henry Kissinger, the former Secretary of State of the United States, he said in the last book, which is called The World Order, the Middle East, the center of the world, and the Middle East affects all the world. Imagine a presentation being nutrition, and Middle East, and challenges. This was the challenge. So I retreated to my favorite place in Sukna Bay. It's overlooking the Red Sea and looking the peninsula of Sinai, which is, and look at seeing the sunrise is very inspiring. And by the way, I have strict orders from my wife to invite you all next time you're coming to Egypt. And you know the order of my wife is very important for me. And to invite you all when you come to Egypt, you have to visit us. It's an open invitation. Every one of you is coming to Egypt. You have to come with us and enjoy the spectacular view of the sun. If we now talk about the Middle East geographically is a vast area from Western Asia up to Egypt, up to Egypt, taking part of Caucasia, taking part of Turkey. It's a vast area, numerous culture, was very contradictory, full of contradictions. The origin of the Middle East, back one of the main player in the politics of the world. It is where all the humanities originated. It's the origin of most of the religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. We have 6,000 years of civilization. We have many faiths, full of contradictions. The origin of the new Middle East, of the modern history of the Middle East, began from World War I. After World War I, after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, and was partitioned by the British and the French to numerous states. And this was the turning point in the new history of the Middle East. Again, another turning point was established in Israel in 1948. After the power of the Americans, after the power of the English and the French became weaker, it was taken over by parts of the Americans, sometimes Russians, but still we are now partitioned to many numerous states. We have 5 languages in the Middle East. We have Arabic, that's the main language, Persian, Turkish, Berber, and Kurdish. The population of the Middle East rises very tremendously. From 1990 to 126 million, up to 2013, 345 million. It's a tremendous loop of population. And if you can see the population ranges from 0 to 14 is getting down. I don't know why. In 1990 it was 43 million, that's the range of 0 to 14, and in 2010 it's 31 million. The Middle East is, as I told you, is full of contradictions. You cannot find something normal in this Middle East. You have a contradiction of modernity and tradition. You can find only the areas, you find shisha on the airplanes, you can find the camel beside the Mercedes, you find the bikini beside the hijab, and you find animals in the modern cars. You know. One of the guiding words of the Middle East, listen again. One of the guiding words of the Middle East is MIB. معلش إن شاء الله بكرة. This is the heart of the Middle East. Even Nike changed their logo from let's do it, inshallah, to borrow. These 3 words is the key of the Middle East. We have numerous doctors and PhDs in area. عندنا دكتوراه في الكبده وفي دكتوراه بجيد جراحه تجريبيه وتعليم السواقه. I don't know what. طبعا we are innovative in our science. قسم الجراحه حريم هي Emil surgical word. Only stainless steel. المطعم غير مفتوح لانه مغلق. During the turmoil of the Egyptian turmoil from 2011 to 2013, it was our economy went plunged down, but still in our economy, again at the Middle East Federation, we spent 35 billion Egyptian pounds on mobile phones and SMSs. 10 billion spent each year in the Middle East on erectile dysfunction drugs. And the United Emirates consumer electronic industry touched 18 billion by 2015. By the way, 18 billion, this is the total consumption of electronics in Europe. Only in the Emirates versus all Europe. One of the contradictions in the Middle East, that we are the only place, one of the few places in the world, that the mother comes to the doctor, tell him, I have a problem in feeding. My son is not eating. She might lose her time and lose the doctor time just to come tell him أنا مش قادرة أوكل ابني أو الولد ما بياكلش أو he have a problem إن هو ده الولد عمره بياكل حاجة عمره بياكل خضار فلقينا 62% of our visits to the clinic بتتكلم على feeding. ليه؟ إن إحنا we have many culture and methods that control our society. Cultures from mothers, from grandmothers, to mothers to be about food. Food بالنسبة لنا is one of the major items. Food controls our life. If you think about it, food is contain all our feasts. عندنا العيد الكبير بناكل لحمة، العيد الصغير بناكل كحك، عاشورة بناكل عاشورة، شم النسيم بيض، كل حاجة concerning is food. It's one of the basic culture. It's food. في نفس الوقت we care about النظر، الحسد، العين. Most of the people, even if she has a healthy child, she comes to the doctor and tells him he's not eating, and he's a fat child, but she's afraid from النظر أو الحسد، فبتقول له ما بياكلش. she just comes because her mother told her ابنك ما بياكلش اوعى يتحسد. فعندنا they said there's a line called the garlic line. The garlic line is Spain, France, Italy, Greece, and Turkey. These are the countries that have garlic in their food, in their salads. What below the garlic line, it is said that believe in hasad or believe in omens. What above the garlic lines, they don't believe it. It was documented like this. One of the methods that we have, you must let your baby taste all kinds of food, or will never eat afterward. لازم تلحسي ابنك لا مش عود على الاكل. هو في حد ما بياكلش؟ يعني انا حد شاف ان في طفل ما بياكلش بعد كده؟ بس هو الميث عندنا انه they have to eat. They tell them everything. So if I see a child or a baby 6 months of age, مؤكلات بطيخ, مؤكلات everything. We have many methods that come out of clinic about nutrition. The thing is, the first myth, دايما a fat baby, I want my baby fat. He's healthy. Come on. A fat baby is an overweight baby. Has nothing to do with health. A fat baby is a sick baby because it's overweight. A fat baby means it's overnourished. Second thing, formula baby are overweight. Yes, formula have a role in being overweight, but it's not the only role. The inactivity of the baby, the way he sleeps, the way he is fed, affects the weight of the baby, not just the formula. Very common in my practice. The mother comes and tells me, I have this tin of milk or this box of milk for the last 1 month. I'm keeping it with me, and I give him every time a scoop on water or 2 scoops, and this tin stays with me for a month. How come? And the mentality here, she's just satisfying her inner moral that she's giving him milk. That's not right. Giving him too much water. Less water means dehydration, and too much water is affecting the child. لازم نوكل اولادنا بالليل عشان يناموا نخلص منه وناموا. حط معلقتين على اللبن وينام بالليل. This again leads to overfeeding. Sleeping does not depend again on food, depends upon the pattern of food, the way they're putting the child to sleep, and how telling the child how to govern the child. Most of our patients بيتربوا بأولادهم هم شو ما بيربوا أولادهم. هي المشكلة عندنا الأم ما بتعرفش تربي، هي تتربى من الولد. الطفل that eats sugar make him hyperactive. Yes, it has an effect on hyperactivity, but still it's not the only thing. Computer games, a speed of life, the mother, that agony mother that always shouting to her child, affects the child and make him hyperactive. This is very common. When once the child comes to your clinic and tell me you have a cold, common cold, or respiratory infection, first thing, do I have to give him milk? Why not? Milk can be given with cold. It's not again, especially because milk has the energy, give him the energy needed. And it was a myth that whenever you have cold, don't eat milk, don't eat eggs. I don't know what the base, I think the base is from back history that the milk contains TB, so they refrain from giving milk when they have cold. As Professor Dr. Garida said yesterday, substitution of milk with juices is a very common mistake that we've done in our children. أنا بحب لازم ابني لبن طبيعي مش لبن صناعي. هو في لبن صناعي واحنا بنصنع لبن، اللبن كله بتاع ربنا، اللبن كله طبيعي، كامل طبيعي humanized. الفكرة اللبن الصناعي احنا نفسنا نقولها، يعني أم تيجي تقول لها اديلها لبن، اديله لبن صناعي أو كملي لبن صناعي. The word is wrong. We don't have صناعي milk. We don't have industrialized milk. We have a milk that is humanized. That's more coming toward the mother. لو احنا شلنا الكلمة دي, this would affect the child. Again, many of my patients come, I'm going to give him cow milk because it's طبيعي. I'm not giving him powder milk because it's صناعي. Come on, and this is one of the problems that we meet in our clinic. And that, doctor, I'm sorry, بس أنا عايز حاجة طبيعية. Okay, بس هو لازم نعرف الاثنين طبيعيين، بس في واحد متصنع عشان ابنك أحسن. The gases, and like yesterday that we have the presentation on colics, one of the reasons is the bottle, yes, but the way of you give the bottle, how we give it, not the milk inside the bottle. It affects, but it's not the only thing. Going back to the condition of Middle East. The Middle East, we have the poor and we have the rich. We have countries that are extremely rich, like Qatar, United Arab Emirates, life rate of Qatar with a purchasing power parity of 86 million per capita per person, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain. And we have a very low income per capita, like West Gaza and West Bank. In Egypt, in the Middle East, we have 78 billionaires, فيهم 6 females. فيهم 1/3 of these billionaires are families. يعني 6 مين؟ في كلهم قرايب. يعني جانب. كل البillionaires في الميدل ايست بيمثلوا Dow Jones, which is the biggest stock market exchange in the States, هم أكتر من stock market exchange. This is one of the contradictions. The other thing, poverty line. Before poverty line, we have 25% people in Egypt have 15 or 17% below the poverty line. Iraq have 24%. Yemen Republic we have 48%. Another contradiction, 2 have rich and the poor. This led to a protest that erupted in the Middle East and North Africa in 2012, 2011, 2012, 2013. كله كان they asked for one thing, for equity in income, for economic inequality. This was leading to reduced growth and increased poverty in this region, which led to poor nutrition, which has poor nutrition in the first 1,000 years, as was said yesterday, which affects our children. That takes food security. This is the challenge that we have that led to hunger and nutrition widespread in our region. This was made by the UNICEF, reasons of hunger and undernutrition, beginning from socio-cultural, economic, and political context, household access to adequate quantity and quality of resources, insecurity, inadequate feeding practices, which leads to inadequate dietary intake and disease, maternal and child undernutrition, with long-term and short-term consequences, leading to stunted of growth. And we have been, yesterday we have had a lot of talk about it with Dr. Ziegler, the reasons and why of the stunted of growth. Now if you look at the region again, Egypt being one of the biggest countries in the region, we took it to study why and what the effect of this growth. We've been hearing about deficiency, iron deficiency, calcium deficiency, vitamin D deficiency. Good. But how does this affect us? How will this affect our children? How will this affect our future? This is the most important thing. Let's go down to the base to see what Dr. Galila said, what Dr. Greger said, what Dr. Rubin said. How does this affect us? It's just numbers or really affect us? Does the nutrition and the iron deficiency will affect us? In Egypt, we take Egypt as an example. Egypt was 86 million in 2013, with the growth declining in 2012 from 6.3 to 0.4 in 2013 due to the political reasons. We had a very interesting study done with the World Food Programme, with the African Union, with the United Nations Economic Commission, with the Pediatric Association, about the cost of hunger in Egypt. And what we hunger mean the food, how much food, the scarcity of food. This is the thing, how are we going to affect our future? Now how to take this medical knowledge, how to put it on the root, how to get it now, how to get out of it data. And this study was made from 2009 up to 2012, but actually it is very bad luck study because it was published in June, 23rd of June 2012. And it was, the PR campaign was 23rd of June with the Prime Minister of Egypt, Shem Andil. So 1 week after, everything changed, and this study went nowhere. Anyway, so what's the effect of health? When the child is undernourished, he or she will have an increased chance of experiencing specific health problems. For every additional case a child, both the health system and the families are faced with additional economy. In a nutshell, let's take for example anemia. The anemia in 2009, it costs the family 32 million. It costs of the system 0.2 million, which around total of 32 million. The total health cost of undernutrition in Egypt alone in 1 year is 1,170 million Egyptian pounds, which means that one child from every 10 child in Egypt will affect the whole system, will affect the economy. And this will estimate about 28 additional cases of anemia, which will affect again the system from 2004 to 2009. What is the effect on education? When the child is stunted or undernourished, the brain is less likely to develop. So the child is more likely to repeat his grades, is more likely to skip schools. This will affect the whole idea of education system. In a way, uniforms, books, exercises, school fees, this whole economy. If we transform that to economy, total public cost to around 164 million Egyptian pounds. Total cost per family is 107 Egyptian pounds. Total cost is 271 million Egyptian pounds in education. This child productivity. It is said that when the child is stunted, its impact on the labor force are less productive and less able to contribute to the national economy. So after some time, we have 41% of the working age population in Egypt were stunted when they were young. And this will affect much more the working capital, which leads to a total of 10 billion Egyptian pound, which is equivalent to 1% of our GDP, our gross income. This is humongous. If you can take this 10 million pound, which is around $1.3 million, this is what Egypt really takes from the States. This is and we have our reserve of $17 billion. It really affects the system. We have to know, this are facts from Egypt. We have more stunted children in Egypt than 10 years ago. 81% of all cases of undernutrition go untreated. 51% of health costs associated with undernutrition occur before the child turns 1 year of age. 11% of the child mortality cases in Egypt are associated with undernutrition. 10% of repetition in primary school are associated with stunting. Stunted children achieve 0.2 years less in school education. Child mortality has reduced workforce of Egypt by 1%, which is humongous. 41% of the adult population in Egypt suffer from stunting as children. Annual costs associated with child nutrition are estimated to be 20 billion Egyptian pounds, equivalent to 1.9% of the total Egyptian economy. That's why eliminating stunting in Egypt is a necessary step for the development of the country and for our future. This is a recap. 20.3 million Egyptian pound cost, 3.7 billion a year 2009. It's increased by the way, it's increasing up to 2013. It really increased by 12%. This figure. What we had for scenario, either we decrease the annual reduction by 0.9 points, which will affect around 732 million, or increase 1.2 points to affect the economy by 907 million. But actually, we don't have any way that to do it because of the trouble that we have been in the last few years. Another harmful effect on the nutrition is micronutrients. As we said before, the impact of folic acid and iron deficiency, malnutrition impair physical, mental, and child health. Most countries of MENA regions, which Middle East and North Africa. MENA region have micronutrient deficient. One of the most micronutrient deficient is anemia. As I've been told yesterday, I've been completely told about anemia. But the point here, why anemia? As I've been told yesterday, under age of 3 years, those who suffer diarrheal attack, vomiting, grunting, chest infection, and those depending on cow milk in the first year. This is the same thing that the Dr. Garia put yesterday, but she put Africa. Now it's more focused on the Middle East. You'll find that the most countries that have anemia is Egypt, Saudi Arabia, less than Yemen and Sudan. Nutrition deficiency, other than vitamin iron, is folic acid, vitamin B12, vitamin C, folic acid, which causes folate deficiency, and it's risk factor for cardiovascular diseases. Vitamin D, it's very surprising. احنا بلاد الشمس، احنا بنبيع الشمس للسياح. احنا متعودين على traditional food. traditional food رقصة مع التبولة مع الأكل الطبيعي وأكل كله حلو. Suddenly, have been changed from industrialized to hamburgers, to nuggets, and the children love it. And we don't have, me as a father, I really don't have a say with my child. And he's governing me, he's guiding me, where out of sympathy, out of love, I usually buy this food. But this, it was raised in the Newsweek, that undernutrition has been a major nutrition problem in many countries. And still, how the higher prevalence of overweight and underweight, it is an alarming thing. In the region, we are third rank in the world for overweight. This is very alarming. This indicates that we have greatest increase in burden of chronic disease, diabetes, cardiovascular disease on our next generations. This is a red flag towards our future. We have a problem in our future. Come on, Coca-Cola. I love Coca-Cola. Come on, give me a cup of Coca-Cola is really something. Imagine for a child having a Coke with ice وياخدها كده وياخدها يشرب بيها. how come I can tell him no? It is really a problem. Coke, all these fuzzy drinks is a problem. But it increases saturated and trans fatty acids, no minerals, no vitamins. And the children come to a clinic to either Coca-Cola, and sometimes the mother is very smart. I'm not giving Coke, I'm giving diet Coke with aspartame and with carcinogenic. ايه ده؟ يعني احنا الكالتشر بتاعتنا بقت كلها okay I'm going diet Coke. Because diet Coke is much worse than Coke. طب ماله العصير؟ وبعدين عصاير وجبنا الريدي ميد او الكاند او الباكج جوس. This is not juice. ده عباره عن ميه بسكر. ف what happened to يعني I remember my mother تعمل في عصاره بتعمل عصير برتقال. لما تقول للام النهارده هو انا لسه هعمل عصير برتقال؟ لسه هعمل لمين؟ هو بتعمل لابنك هو بتعملي ليا. طبعا منظر الاولاد بيبصوا على الهمبرجر عندهم حق، انا لاف همبرجرز باين طبعا انا لاف همبرجرز. The changes in dietary lifestyles contribute to the explosion of diabetes 2 mellitus in the area. Michelle Obama قالت you have to feed our children well. This was raised back in the States. This is number 1 in overweight in children, and number 3. We have 3 countries in the region, greatest rate of overweight and obesity. Qatar, 34% of the children are overweight. Libya, 33%. Lebanon, 33%. من لبنان يعني طبق السلطه اللبناني اللي هو السلطه الحيه اللبناني دي اول حاجه حلوه. It's omitted now from all the tables. From the girls, Kuwait is number 1, it's 46%. Oman is 42%. Libya is 42%. Egypt, we have 1/3 of the boys are obese. We have 40% of the girls are overweight and obese. In Saudi Arabia, 40% of the weight of the girls are obese, and nearly 1/4 of the boy. ولسه وبتزيد. طبعا factors that influence الأكل many factors منها طبعا غير محطوط هنا ignorance of the mother, ignorance of mother, ignorance of the mother. يعني المشكلة دايما في الأم. طبعا ما تبصليش هي الأم هي المشكلة دايما. الأم عندنا لازم تتعلم تاكل. بس دور الأطباء إن احنا نعلم الأم we don't have the time. When the patient comes to the clinic, I don't have the time to talk to him. I don't have time to tell him what to eat. I'm programmed to give medicine. I'm programmed to give drugs. But to waste the time around 10 minutes, 15 minutes with the mother, وكليه ما توكلهوش، come on يعني خلاص تاكله. وتيجي اللي بيمسك الموضوع الجدة والحما. دول بقى بيجوا هو بقى اللي بيتحكم في الموضوع كله. تلاقي الحما عامله شويه مقفول وتعمل مصايب. بس هي الحما محدش يقدر يكلمها. This was a warning in most of the European and hospitals about fat prevention begins at home and the buffet line. It's hard to be a little girl if you're not. It is a warning about obesity, about obese children, a problem that we have. The lead singer Whitney Houston, I used to love her. قالت, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. This is what we have to do. احنا لازم our children is our future. هنا, let me tell you one thing. And I believe we are here because of this. We are here not to hear about numbers or the effect of anemia. No, we know everybody knows about anemia. Everybody, but we are here how to prevent this in our clinics, how to prevent this in our children. And I do thank Denon to invest in responsibility. They invested for us to give this knowledge, to get the knowledge for the doctors, to let them say, please don't feed your children wrong. Because inadequate knowledge about appropriate foods and feeding practices is a great determinant of malnutrition than the lack of food. When you give wrong food, it's worse than giving no food. وده اللي بنقوله للأمهات. We have to tell our mothers, don't feed him, but feed him right. If the child does not want to eat, let him not eat. عنه ما أكل. But let him eat the right food. This was by the UNICEF, again, WHO, the proven practices and services, intervention and prevention of treatment of stunting. طبعا everybody know about it. which improved use of locally available foods, this during pregnancy, macronutrient supplementation, fortified food supplement, and antenatal care, after birth, which is 0 to 5 months, exclusive breastfeeding, appropriate infant feeding practices, vitamin A supplementation, macronutrient supplementation, improved use of locally available foods. And this is the major point. Not everybody in my clinic, not everybody of your patients, can afford the tin or the box of the fortified milk. It's very expensive for them. It's our role to get something for them to eat, apart from this milk. This milk is there, yes, it is very important, but not everybody can afford it. We're telling them not to go for camel. Don't eat that. What are they going to eat? They can't afford. This is our role to get something, to make guidelines, some guidelines for them to eat and what to eat. Again, this is the key components of intervention, an infant and young child feeding strategy. Marketing of breast milk substitutes and maternity protection, which is very important, maternity protection. Diamond, the mother is the core of everything. If the mother is healthy, the baby will be healthy. Skill support of the health system, curriculum development of infant and young child feeding strategy, which is very important and which we don't really have in our country. The two practices together, ensuring optimal breastfeeding the first year and complementary feeding, prevent 1/5 of the death of the children that we have. Mother nutrition was a raised issue in the Time magazine because it's undernourished mother is more likely to give birth to a stunted child, contributing to a vicious cycle of undernutrition and poverty. So it's a mother. حجام دي 10 يوم. Lavi to minima sto spiti. Take home message. احنا في جريس يعني. Franklin Roosevelt, one of the greatest presidents of the United States, said, "We may not be able to prepare the future for our children, but at least we can prepare our children for the future." And this is what we want to do. We have to prepare them for the future. All the Arab countries have turmoils, have some kind of problems. The future we're looking for. احنا خلاص راحت علينا وبوظنا واجسامنا باظت، بس احنا على الاقل have a future in our children. Global strategy for infant and young children of feeding must be based on respect, protection, facilitation, and fulfillment of accepted human rights principles. Nutrition is a crucial, universally recognized component of child rights. The child right احنا كتبناها في الدستور المصري، كتبناها في الدساتير العربية كلها، إن له الحق في الطعام، بس احنا ما بناخدش حق في الطعام ده. To enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health, as stated in the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and investing in nutrition is seen as a key development priority of benefit global welfare. And that's why they're investing again in responsibility, investing in nutrition. The child has the right to adequate nutrition, access to safe and nutritious food. Both are essential for fulfilling the right for highest attainable standard of health. It is his right to be fed good. It is the right of the governments to give them right feeding. The government عندنا يعملوا اللبن بيدعموه. اللبن موجود بس هي point how to get to the child. It is the right of the child. Also, the mother of the woman has the right to proper nutrition. She has the right to full information to decide how to feed her child. The women, we don't have information. Mothers do not know information. They take information from wrong sources. It's our role as doctors, as pediatricians and nutritionists, to give this role to the child, to the mother, to give them something that she can have as a Bible, has something with her that this is nutrition. This is where we come. Let it be our aim to improve through optimal feeding the nutritional status, growth and development, health, and thus survival of our infant and young children. Let's create an environment that will enable mothers, families, and caregivers, and in all circumstances, to implement informed choices about optimal feeding practices for children, young children, and infants, without risk of impoverishment now and in the future. Again, It's our role. في الأول خالص قلت لكم هتيجوا عندنا في عين سخنة، ده الأكل اللي مراتي بتعمله بس مش لازم تطبخه. ده الأكل الحلو بقى، سيبكم من الأكل النيوتريشن ده كله. This is the typical our typical أكل. قطعة اللي هي ورق عنب وسمبوسك وحتة ضاني حلوة. أيوه. ساس أفخرست.